Think about your morning. That coffee you're drinking, the phone you're checking, the shoes you put on, you're already taking part in the global economy. It's this huge, powerful system that touches almost everything we do. So how does it all really work? And what does it actually mean for us? Let's get into it.
All right, let's start with a really simple question. Just look around you. Grab your phone. Or, look at the t-shirt you're wearing. Where is it from? And I don't just mean the made in tag. I mean, where did every single little piece really come from? I bet the answer is way more global than you think.
Let's take your smartphone, for example. It's a perfect case study. Sure, it might have been designed in California, but that's just the very beginning of this. Well, it's like a massive global relay race. You've got key parts coming from over 40 different countries. The screen might be from South Korea, the processor from Taiwan, maybe some sensors from Germany. All that stuff gets shipped to a place like China to be put together, and then it lands in a store right near you. Think about that. One single product, and it's connecting dozens and dozens of economies.
And that whole journey? It's a perfect picture of how our world works today. It's not just your phone, right? It's the food you eat, the clothes you buy, even the movies you watch. Everything is part of this huge, deeply interconnected global web. And this whole thing has a name. And that name is globalization. It's the engine that's been driving all of this, essentially erasing borders for businesses. It's what allows money, information, and all kinds of goods to zip around the planet more freely than ever before. And I mean, if the last few years have taught us anything, with supply chain headaches and all that, it's just how tangled up we all are in this system.
So the big question is this a good thing, all this connection? Well, it's complicated. The best way to think about globalization is like a coin with two totally different sides. On one side, yeah, you've got amazing benefits, huge new markets, more jobs, cheaper stuff for us as consumers, and innovation spreading like wildfire. But then you flip the coin and you see the challenges. Fierce competition, a widening gap between the rich and poor, and some really tough questions about the impact on local cultures and the environment.
Okay, so to really get a handle on that tension, we've got to look under the hood. What are the nuts and bolts? How does this whole global economy actually work? What are the rules of the road?
At its most basic level, it's all about a massive exchange. It really just boils down to two key things: imports and exports. Imports? That's the stuff a country buys from the rest of the world. Exports? That's the stuff it sells to other countries. And when you have a healthy flow of both, that's what makes the whole system hum.
But of course, it's not always a free-for-all. Sometimes, countries want to control that flow, usually to protect their own homegrown industries. We call this protectionism. And one of their go-to tools is something called a tariff. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a tax on an imported product. The whole point is to make the foreign stuff more expensive, which, in theory, gives local companies a better shot at competing.
Another tool in that protectionist toolbox is a quota. So instead of a tax, this one's a hard limit on the amount of something that can be brought into the country. For example, a government might say, you can only import 10,000 cars from this country this year, and that's it. That's a quota.
So that begs the question, why trade at all if you're just going to put up barriers? Well, it all comes back to this really fundamental idea in economics called comparative advantage. The gist of it is this: if every country just focuses on producing what it's most efficient at, what it does best, and then trades with everyone else, the entire world gets richer. It's really just about playing to your strengths. It's why Brazil is famous for coffee and Germany is known for its cars.
But yeah, with all this trading going on, things can get pretty messy fast. So to make it all work a bit more smoothly, countries set up these official rule books. We call them trade agreements. You've got these huge regional ones, like the USMCA between the US, Mexico, and Canada, which covers over $1 trillion in trade. Then you have something like the EU single market, which is basically one giant borderless economy. And trying to keep some order over the whole thing is the World Trade Organization, the WTO. Think of them as the global ref. Now, these rules, these agreements, they're not just boring documents or abstract ideas. They have massive, real-world consequences that affect people's everyday lives. Because in this giant global game, there are definitely winners and, well, there are definitely people who get left behind. So let's break that down. Who wins? Well, a lot of the time, it's the big multinational corporations that can tap into new markets all over the world. It's also skilled workers whose jobs are in high demand everywhere. And hey, we as consumers often win too, with lower prices and way more choices. But there's always the other side of the story. You have entire domestic industries that just can't compete with cheaper imports, and they get hammered. And you have countless manufacturing workers who watch their jobs get packed up and shipped to countries with lower wages.
And this isn't just some economic theory, you know? It's got a name, the Rust Belt effect.
It refers to the very real, very painful economic devastation that hit former industrial heartlands in the U.S. when all those manufacturing jobs moved to places like China and Mexico. This is the human cost of global efficiency, and it's had huge political ripple effects, fueling populist anger and a deep skepticism about global trade from millions of people.
And that leads to a really critical question. With all this global growth, who's actually getting the money? A report from the World Inequality Lab gives us a pretty staggering answer. Since 1995, of all the new wealth created in the entire world, 38% of it has gone to just the richest 1% of the population. Just let that sink in. A number like that really forces you to question how fair this whole system is.
So, given all that, where's the global economy headed now? Well, the map of who holds the economic power is changing, big time. And the new centers of competition are propping up in places that, honestly, might surprise you.
I mean, just take a look at the growth rates. Emerging economies are consistently growing 2, even 3 times faster than the more developed nations. This is where the action is now. These are the engines powering the 21st century global economy.
And we're not just talking about 1 or 2 places. These are major hotspots brimming with opportunity. You've got India, on pace to become the world's 3rd largest economy, with this massive young population and almost 1 billion people online. You've got Vietnam, which has become a total manufacturing powerhouse. I mean, Samsung makes half its phones there now. And then there's Nigeria, Africa's biggest economy, with a fintech scene that is absolutely exploding and attracting investment from all over.
And the thing that's hitting the accelerator on all of this? It's technology. It used to be that only the biggest companies could even dream of going global. But now, digital platforms like Shopify or Alibaba have totally changed the game. They've democratized global trade. A small business, an artist, anyone can now sell their stuff to someone on the other side of the planet with just a couple of clicks. It's a revolution.
Okay, so with all this complexity, how do you actually win in this new global marketplace? It all boils down to one key idea: globalization. It's this simple but powerful phrase: think globally, but act locally. It means you can't just parachute a product into a new country and expect it to work. You have to adapt it. You have to tweak your marketing, your strategy, everything to fit the local culture. That is the secret sauce for success.
And that brings us right back to the central challenge, doesn't it? Our world is only going to get more and more connected. Technology isn't slowing down, and trade will keep blurring those borders. So the huge question we're all left with is, as this continues, how do we build a system that doesn't just work for the people at the very top? How do we make sure that the incredible benefits of this global marketplace are actually shared by everyone?